10-year anniversary of American Pharoah's Triple Crown. Can you sort of believe he's been on the farm almost 10 years now?
It is quite amazing, isn't it, when you think that 10 years ago this week a horse was about to make history, was about to change maybe the course of racing. I mean, if you remember at that time, a lot of people were thinking that the Triple Crown was going to have to change format, it was going to have to be run over different distances, over a different time period, maybe spread out the races, and one horse managed to put the horse racing world on his back and possibly change the course of history, becoming the first Triple Crown winner since 1978 in doing so, when he won the Triple Crown and the Kentucky Derby, most importantly, 10 years ago this week or next week. So yeah, I mean, it's been amazing ride for this farm to have a horse of his magnitude, of his presence. I mean, it's no secret how wonderful a horse he is, how beautiful his personality is, how gentle a horse he is. But not only that, he's a horse that's gone on to become a very consistent and wonderful sire in the business, not only in this country but around the world. I mean, he's been represented across the world by Grade 1 winners, including Grade 1 winners in Europe, Australasia and Japan, and hopefully this year on the 10th anniversary he'll be represented by 2 runners in the Kentucky Derby, one coming in from Japan in Luxor Cafe, who of course is a very well bred horse, bred here in America, from this, actually born on this farm and then sold to Japanese interests. So he's coming in from the Japanese side of things, and then you've obviously got Publisher, who, while still a maiden, is kind of becoming a bit of maybe a wise guy horse leading up to the Kentucky Derby. But yeah, it's been a privilege and an honour to stand a horse like this, and it's one that we don't take lightly. He's a horse that really has changed the trajectory of this business, and we're very proud to not only stand him but also Justify as well.
Can you talk a little bit more about Pharoah's international success and popularity, and if that's something you anticipated, particularly in the Japanese marketplace?
I mean, you always hope that they're going to be internationally successful, because that's what ultimately will put them in the history books and put them in the record books. I mean, I think any horse nowadays that can have success with the likes of Van Gogh becoming European champion 2-year-old, the likes of Cafe Pharoah winning multiple Group 1s in Japan, the likes of Cafe Pharoah, his full brother, coming here this year to represent Japan. It just adds to the flavour of the business. It really is a truly international business, but he's also been represented by Grade 1 winners in Australia as well. So I mean, yeah, it was something that we obviously hoped for. The fact that a lot of his success has happened on turf is something that was certainly a surprise to me. But given the quality of the mares he got, and obviously given the fact that he covered a lot of our own mares, which tend to have quite a turf background to them, I think that was something that, it's not necessarily a surprise that it has happened, but certainly at the start we thought he was the true all dirt American superstar sire prospect, and in many ways he's gone on to become that. He's had 9 Grade 1 winners, as I said, in his short career so far, and hopefully the true marker of a really good stallion is if they can get 10 or 12 Group 1 winners, and he's well on the way to achieving that.
Adrian, talk about what it would mean for a horse such as American Pharoah or any stallion to sire a Kentucky Derby winner. Obviously it's a crowning achievement for a stallion, but talk a little bit about that.
Well, just to give you an example, if you remember Uncle Mo in his first crop, and unfortunately Uncle Mo left us this past year, a wonderful sire in his own right for us. But Uncle Mo sired Nyquist in his first crop. Nyquist was a Breeders' Cup juvenile, and the first juvenile winner, and the first Breeders' Cup juvenile winner to go on and win the Kentucky Derby. And that really changed the course of Uncle Mo's stallion career. I mean, when he retired here, he retired as a champion juvenile. Obviously, it's well known that he was quite sick as a 3-year-old and didn't probably fulfill his full potential. But in siring Nyquist, it really took him to a different level in terms of being a sire. He was standing here, as I said, at 35,000. By the time he had his first runners, he was down to about 20,000 standing. And after Nyquist, he quickly went up to 100 and then up to 150, where he was at his zenith. So it really can change. It is the most iconic race in the American racing calendar, maybe in the world racing calendar. And for a stallion to sire a Kentucky Derby winner is, very important.
Just put in perspective, that bar for Triple Crown winners and the expectations of them going into stud.
Well, as we know, there's only been 13 of them, so takes a very, very good stallion to sire one as good as themselves. I mean, the likes of Galileo managed to do it when siring Frankel and numerous others. But it does take a real good one to sire one as good as themselves. And American Pharoah winning 8 Grade 1s, being the first horse to not only win the Triple Crown but then go on and complete the first ever Grand Slam, the only horse to ever attempt a Grand Slam. I think that puts it in perspective. These horses are few and far between. You only get the chance to do it once. So yeah, I mean it's a very high bar, and hopefully one of these days he can do it.
You mentioned that there's only 13 of them and they're few and far between, and what kind of a privilege, a part of history is it for Ashford to not just stand one of them but 2 of them?
I mean, when I say it's a massive responsibility, not only for the farm but for the industry. When we look at these horses, we don't necessarily just look at them as our horses, but they do belong to the fans, they belong to the public, and that's why we're so open to horse country and all the fans coming to see these horses. It's our responsibility to share these horses, and ultimately that's how we grow the sport. And the likes of horse country, which is a wonderful endeavour, bringing fans from all over the world. I mean, I think it's well known that we've had, every year you get visitors from all 50 states, from all around the world coming to see these horses, and realistically the horses they want to see are Justify and American Pharoah. And that's anytime it's our goal to obviously keep the sport growing, and having these 2 horses here is a responsibility that we don't take lightly. And hopefully their legacy will not continue not only here but on other farms and other stud farms around the world.
Can you speak a little bit to the demand you all receive to see them?
It's insane, especially this time of year. I mean, but luckily enough, both horses are very amenable. They're very gentle. They're very patient. They actually, especially American Pharoah, just loves being around people. I mean, he's at his happiest when people are looking at him and fawning over him and feeding him carrots. I mean, he's very un-stallion-like in many ways. He's as gentle now as he was when Bob Baffert and Ahmadzai were lying with him in his stall, either prior to the Kentucky Derby or after. I can't remember when it was. As quiet as he was when he was standing in the winner's circle at the Belmont Stakes, when it looked like the whole of New York was trying to get into that winner's circle. I mean, it takes a very, very special horse not only to compete at the level and as consistently as he did, but then to be as calm and take every single occasion. I mean, to come out in front of 150,000 people and not boil over and run your best race and do that over 5 weeks is it's pretty incredible, really.
Is there a particular interaction with someone that's come to the farm to visit American Pharoah that sticks out in your memory?
There's a few. We've had quite a few marriage proposals in front of American Pharoah, which the first time I saw it, I nearly burst into tears myself. So it was I was nearly more excited than the bride. But yeah, no, they're the kind of horses that they evoke a lot of emotion. And I think when people see them, they're obviously very excited to see them. When they see them, they're almost lost for words. They're sort of in awe of these horses. I mean, they're magnificent, beautiful creatures. And when you see something, an athlete as brilliant in equine form as they are, and get to see them up close, you really realize how impressive they are, how special they are. And their demeanor, and obviously being shown in a place like this is also lends itself to that occasion. So yeah, we're inundated with visitors throughout the year, but especially when Keeneland's on in April and October and leading up to the Kentucky Derby. That's the time where they really come out.
What will Derby Day be like here? You all obviously have a number of rooting interests between the 2 for American Pharoah. Justify is represented by a starter, and as is Tiz the Law. And Tiz the Law's son, Tiztastic, is owned in part by some Coolmore affiliated owners. What's it like to have 4 horses with rooting interest on that particular day?
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is very. I mean, I liken working here as akin to working for the Yankees or working for Manchester United. You're working for something that is far, far bigger than yourself, and far, far bigger than what you could ever imagine. I mean, we're competing, luckily enough, the Magner family, along with the Tabors and the Smiths, with Westerberg, Brooke Smith, and Peter Brandt. We're competing around the world and looking to compete in these races at very high levels. But that all comes back to the owners, the time, the dedication, the financing they put in to acquire these mares, to run these farms, and acquire these stallions. Is it needs to be recognised and needs to be thought about hard and very deeply, because it is a massive effort every day. I mean, we're right in the middle of the breeding season at the moment, so Kentucky Derby Day will be like many other days. Foals will be born on Kentucky Derby Day, mares are going to have to be bred on Kentucky Derby Day, and unfortunately some mares and foals will have to go to a clinic on Kentucky Derby Day. So it is like in many ways any other day, but then you've got in the back of your mind, oh, we're getting ever closer to maybe Tiztastic running well, or American Promise one running well, or one of American Pharoah's two sons, Luxor Cafe or Publisher.
Talk a little bit more. I believe it was Luxor Cafe you were talking about was foaled here, correct?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about his backstory and his him as a young.
Well, he's a full brother to Cafe Pharoah, who's a Group 1 winner in Japan as well. Very well bred horse out of Mary's Follies. Good looking horse, very good mover, very well balanced. Like a lot of the American Pharoahs, great demeanor, and I think that's what sets the American Pharoahs apart. Whereas some horses can be more flighty than others, generally the American Pharoahs take after him. They tend to look like him, and they tend to have that great demeanor, which lends themselves to competing on the big stage.
Regarding American Pharoah, would you say there are any peculiarities or anything like that to his day-to-day life that you've noticed?
No, I mean he's treated like a regular horse, even though he isn't. He's treated exactly the same as the rest of them. He requires very little special attention. He loves carrots, so I think our carrot bill has gone up a little bit. We probably should maybe have a little carrot patch over here. Probably a bit cheap if we grew our own. But no, he's very easy to be around. He's as quiet now as he was when he first retired here, and that's what makes him the fan favorite. Is he's so amenable, and he just loves people. You'll see him. He'll come out here. He'll stand. You could nearly drop the shank and walk away. He knows his job, and he knows people are here to see him.